Welcome
to the J&O Show,
where we talk about
2K was on the Anton Daniels show, and he had the nerve to come for marriage. And I told y'all that if you come for marriage, me and you got an issue. I am now your enemy. We are enemies for the rest of our lives, no matter what happens. I don't care if you become a Christian, you get baptized, and you become a pastor, and all this other stuff. We still gonna be enemies. No, okay, I'm tripping. But I'm saying, I got some great information about marriage. Where did it come from? Exactly, what does it mean? What did it used to mean when people did it in like BC? Like, did it mean anything different than what we mean it now? We got all of that stuff in the video. It's gonna be a long one, so just strap in, hold on tight, and listen to all of the information that I actually researched and looked up. I'm so tired.
Have a functioning society. This is why marriages happen. You see, the U.S. has the lowest amount of, like, our marriages are shot. We have a extremely high fatherlessness in this country. So y'all can keep making these excuses, but society shows
the whole purpose of marriage was
not spreading your seed around. It's really
the
what's
whole
best for
purpose
society.
of marriage was so you knew who your baby was, who your baby belonged to.
Well, people, what?
No, because they have to keep their society and population in check.
That's not true. 2K. It's not true.
No, wait. 2K, what'd you say?
They need it.
Okay, how y'all doing? Y'all see the background different? We in Oklahoma doing with our daughter's medical treatment, and we just gonna jump in here because we had some work to do. You know, people always always talk about what started marriage, and this is something that I've heard recently as people are trying to take religion, belief in God out of everything. And they're trying to find the reasons that it existed in societies that did not have any type of religious background. Because the reality is, us here in America, marriage for us was based on Christianity. And then secondarily, it was based on falling in love. In America, that's what it sort of morphed into. The thing about the origin of marriage is a little wonky. So I did some light research, and I'm gonna just read what I found. The institution of marriage, with its earliest recorded evidence dating back to around 2350 BC in Mesopotamia, emerged as a way to form alliances between families, securing inheritance, and promote social stability rather than being based on love or religion. That's what they say about what had happened in Mesopotamia. And a lot of us have seen this in like TV shows about like Victorian era, even something as recent as like the royal family, and some of the way that they were marrying people off was not just about babies and all of that other stuff, but that apparently was a thing that went back literally thousands of years. Right. It has always been sort of a way not just to realize who the baby daddy is. It makes sense in societies before there was as much structure as we think. But the problem is you can't really have a lot of historical backing for that stuff because there are no writings. One of the things about history is that you have to rely on what people wrote down about the history of what was happening around them. And one of the things that makes it more reliable is that you have multiple people who are able to be eyewitnesses and then write about it. And then you sort of kind of got to take their word for it. And the way that you end up taking their word for it is if multiple people are writing similar things about a singular event, then you can be like, okay, maybe it really happened because there were eyewitnesses. It's the same way that we go into a courtroom. Do you know if something really, really happened outside of us having eyewitness testimony? You don't use science to try to figure out what happened in history in the sense of, oh, is it something that's repeatable? Is it something that I can prove actually happens scientifically? That's not history. History has a whole different metric for how you figure out whether or not something is true or not. So when it comes to history, you have to have written records. I'll come back to some of the other things that I found, but that's just where I wanted to start off with so that we can have a basis to start to understand what it is we're looking at. Because a lot of people have been talking about this, especially in red pill and red pill adjacent spaces, about where marriage really came from, to try to take away the validity of doing it for the sake of society, doing it for the sake of it makes children better, because they're trying to slowly chip away at a man having to do anything with marriage outside of just knowing whose baby it is. And they're trying to chip away at that of men having societal responsibility. At least that's one of the reasons that they're doing it. And I just wanted to actually bring the reality of what we have historical evidence of. Let's get back in there because it gets interesting.
Okay, what'd you say?
They needed soldiers to be produced.
So you can know who your daddy was.
No, that is partly the purpose of monogamy, because
he said marriage, not monogamy.
Not monogamy.
I mean, it's both. It's in tandem.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Marriage is an actual contract that you sign. It's a business.
No, marriage is not a contract.
Well,
Yes, it is. What do you mean? It's a business. It's a business decision. No, I mean in the United States, like in law. Like,
was
That's the problem, and that's the real problem.
Was Adam?
It really irks me when I hear people say that marriage is a business contract. And I understand that everybody's beliefs systems are different. I guess I should speak about here in America, because as you stated before, in this country at least, marriage was first thought to be something that was a religious thing, came from Christianity, right? When you minimize marriage down to just being a business contract, to me, it's like a slap to the face to Christ, because it's something that he instituted from the beginning of time. When he created earth in 6 days, including mankind, he said everything was good. He created day and night, first day, all these different days. Every day when he finished his creation, he said it was good. When he got to day 6 and he created man, he formed Adam, he gave Adam the responsibilities and everything like that. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, and the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet. So he saw that it was not good for Adam to be alone. This is before Adam even realized that he was alone. Adam ain't saying nothing to him like, yo, where my partner at? How come all the birds and the beasts and the cows, how come they all got partners or whatever and I don't have anything? He didn't say anything. God saw it was not good for man to be alone, and he decided to make him a helpmeet, aka his wife, Eve. He made her and he brought her onto him, and the two became one flesh, meaning the two of them became married, because that's how you become one flesh. According to the Bible and the way how God instituted it, is when a man and a woman, they come together, they form that bond as husband and wife, they become one. Marriage is supposed to be a representation of Christ's relationship with us, with his people, with the church. So when somebody just says, oh, it's just a business arrangement, to me, that's a slap in the face. It's like, it's so much more than that. Don't get me wrong. I understand that in the world, especially we live in right now, when two people come together, there are certain things that, of course, people may look at, like we talk about this all the time as far as our nature. And our nature, women want security. They want to be taken care of, provided for, protected. Men, they want to be respected and everything like that. So naturally, those are the things that you look for. So yes, as a woman, you're probably not going to want somebody who's not going to be able to provide for you financially, because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, you need finances in order to live. That's a whole nother story. I understand that you want to be smart about those decisions, but just to say marriage is just a business arrangement, it's just an agreement between two people. They're just like, oh, you're doing this just because it's good for business. It just irks me when I hear that, because I'm just like, it's a lot more to it than just, oh, this is a business arrangement.
All right, so there's so much I could say here, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna forego me going into a whole thing with it. Because
bullet points.
No, well, I still got to edit this joke, because we still got plenty to go. We didn't even.
Oh,
but when it comes to what you were saying, what she just said is going to make sense from what I just read, but I'm gonna save that for the next go round. I want to see a little bit more what they say in the video. Okay. I do have some things to speak on as to why what she just said and why she read Genesis was important. It does feed into some further things, but I'll give that to you as the video goes on. You have anything else you want to add at this point?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Papers, bro. Was Adam and Eve married?
No.
Yeah? Who said yeah?
2K, you don't even believe in the Bible.
Married. They were married.
Okay, I don't believe that, but I know about. Okay, was Adam and Eve married?
Yes.
No.
By who?
They were not married. They were
married.
Who was at the wedding, Kelly?
No, they weren't married.
They were married.
Where did they say that in the Bible? I didn't see that they said they were married in the Bible.
It's implied. Come on,
He came from her. She came from his rib. So
I don't think it had to be implied, because they were the only two people. So it wasn't implied. They were together because they were the only two people. So
that's how screwed
marriage.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all know. 2K, obviously an atheist, but he literally loves to come on with people who are Christians and challenge the theology of Christians. And he loves to say things that are incendiary, that piss Christians off. Bruh. He loves it because he is really good at social media and he knows what is gonna catch people's attention. He's intentionally doing it. If y'all see Anton Daniels, he is a professing Christian, but he's used to 2K. And you see how he just smiles and laughs when he does what he does. He's talked about it before. For all those of you who are Christians on that channel, don't feed into it because guess what? A lot of atheists are this blasphemous. And I'm going to say something really wild.
Oh, boy.
And it's not very becoming of a Christian.
I think you should just stop.
But there's a reason why in the Old Testament, God was just taking out entire cities, because they were entire cities. He's just talking. What happened if somebody had that mindset and would go so far as to sacrifice their kid to a false god? On top of the way he's talking. And people be like, I don't understand why God had the children of Israel take out this whole city and they didn't have to take out the kids no, because all of them thought like that. But even worse, they would actually put it into action and do crazy things like sacrifice their children to this idol. Y'all don't believe it? Look up Baal and some of the pictures of him. The literal statue is him sitting there with his hands open so that you could put the kid there that you wanted to sacrifice and burn alive.
Dang.
That's how the statue was made. Even worse, some of the children of Israel came and started worshiping Baal too.
Because it was mixing and they weren't supposed to do that. That's a whole nother story.
Anyway, but you stopped it. I'm sorry. I jumped in front of you. I probably took your thought.
You sure did, because I don't even remember what I was
sorry. I'm sorry. I got to stop doing that.
Okay. It'll come back.
Or that was never marriage didn't come until later.
They was not married. They was not married. He was a bust down.
No, I'm not. No.
He said that intentionally just to trigger people. Obviously, Eve wasn't a bust down. Were they married in the traditional way? Who was going to be at the ceremony besides them and God? There wasn't going to be nobody at the ceremony. It just would have been them and God. I guess the animals would have been the witnesses to the wedding marriage. We don't know if there was a wedding marriage because the Bible doesn't say that it was a wedding marriage there. Okay, number one, as far as we know, biblically, Adam nor Eve never cheated on each other with anybody else because there was nobody else. There was only their children, as far as we know. And then when other things start to come in, you'd be like, were there other people on the planet? As far as the Bible ever says, they were together until they died. Yes. And they had more children and they stayed together. They lived together. As far as we know. So as far as whether or not they were married, there's an understanding of marriage and how it used to be back in the day. And I'm going to let them actually go into that part and answer it because Anton actually gives a great answer to it. So I'm not going to repeat what he says.
Now we could argue with this. I'm not. A snake.
Are y'all ready to? Do y'all want me to continue to educate 2K?
Please educate him.
Oh, here we go. Okay, it's Christian time.
Well, why did you ask the question about?
You brought it up.
You brought it up. A man that don't even believe in God.
The way that you knew that you were married,
got his Bible.
The way that you knew that you were married it was by the person that you had sex with and the person that you had kids with. It did not need to be a ceremony because it was understood. It was in the eyes of God. Yeah. It wasn't until recently, we actually started structuring how things happen inside of the United States of America, that we needed to actually have a documentation because you had a pension, you had 401ks, you had different things that you had to be able to substantiate that you were actually married to a person for. And it was also in modern times a way for you to easily pass on assets to a person, and then you can then circumvent all of the issues as far as different people arguing over who has ownership of what. And so a marriage in the modern way is a construct that allows for us to be able to divide assets and make sure that we know who goes where and what, right?
Okay, so Anton did a great job. Just to expand on it, back then, we also have to take into consideration the world was not as overly populated as it is now. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about small villages. If you slept with somebody, everybody in the village probably knew. Yep.
Yeah. Think about those small towns.
Even if you were
small towns.
Even if you were just a concubine. I even saw verses in the Bible where a Levite priest had a concubine, and in the Bible, it goes back and forth between referring to him as a husband because it said that her parents were his in-laws. but it also called her his concubine. Like it talked about the familial ties, even though the Bible specifically said that was his concubine. It didn't say that was his wife.
Right.
And then later on, I think it called her his husband. So a lot of that stuff was interchangeable. And we have to understand that in these villages and in these cities that we're talking about, the culture was very different, but also there was a lot less people. We're trying to put a lot of modern context on older things, you know, who you had sex with, that was your wife a lot of times, because if you disgraced her virginity, it said if you take the virginity of a woman and they find out you around the Hebrews, it don't matter if you a foreigner, it don't matter if you there and they find out you did it, they gonna find you, they gonna hunt you down. You got to give her daddy 50 shekels of silver or gold, one or the other. And she is your wife forever. You can never divorce her because you had the audacity to take her virginity and make it so that she would not be as valuable to the next guy, because you taking her virginity, she might be pregnant for all we know. And if she have a baby, that's your baby. That's your wife now, from now on. These are ideas that already existed. So for who knows how long before that time that they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, that the ideas, the laws were already there. We don't even know how far. It could be thousands of years even before then. So the ideals of marriage, we don't necessarily know where the first marriage comes from. Everybody has theories. Nobody knows for sure. When you talk about
historical marriage, as far as like a ceremony, like we know of
a ceremony, or even saying that, you know, whatever language they were speaking in, this is my wife and we are bound together. I have promised her that I will be true to her only type of situation. We don't really know, outside of what the Bible tells us and what other writings are telling us, where that really started and what the real idea was, based on our ability to prove it historically. If you're someone who is not a Christian, which is why I'm making this explanation, if you want to look at things historically, 2K is wrong. It's not just about who baby it is. It's about securing family legacies. It's about who things are going to be passed down to. What are some of the other reasons I came up with? Social stability, forming alliances between families. That was huge. It was a lot of that was business oriented as well. It's the truth. Even in the Bible, a lot of the marriages were business oriented. There was a lot of talk about who gets what. The whole situation between Jacob and Esau was business oriented, which started a whole bunch of other things, because then from Esau came the Edomites. Like when we come to what we can prove, there's a lot more to it than a lot of people are taking in.
I get what you're saying for someone who basically, I guess, doesn't believe.
For someone who doesn't believe.
For someone who doesn't believe.
I wanted them to know that the idea of marriage existed a lot longer than we have proof of any other. Like they'll say, well, we know it came from what 2K said, right? They'll say what 2K said. Where's the proof? Historically, we have no evidence that what you're saying is true. So the ideas of marriage being more than just whose baby it is have existed far longer than, I don't even know where you got the concept of it was just to find out who baby it is.
Okay.
I don't even, because that's not historically supported.
No. Well, I guess I'm speaking to the people.
Oh, we speak to the Christians on the other side. You can speak to the Christian side.
Yeah, for the Christian side. And I think Anton, he started to say this. They don't necessarily use the term marriage, but it is implied just because of the way in which God had everything set up. There's many instances in the Bible, in the Old Testament, when a man basically took a wife. In order for her to be his wife, it says, and he knew her. And for all those who know or who read the Bible, when the Bible says, and he knew her, they're talking about actual intercourse. And that is the way that they became one. So when Adam and Eve became one, that was their quote unquote marriage, as only a husband and wife should, having intercourse. And whenever that happens, that automatically means that is your husband, that is your wife. That is how it was established from the beginning. And if you go in and you read really anywhere where it talks about husband and wife, so what have you, it'll tell you that, like, and he knew her. He went on to her and he knew her, or she knew no man. You know, those are basically things letting you know, like, the person was single or they were married. All throughout the Bible, it shows from the beginning basically what marriage was. It may not have used the term marriage, but it was definitely implied based on all of the different texts where it talks about how a man and woman came together and that became the husband or that became the wife. That was how you knew basically that the two of them were together, that they were married.
The idea of love and marriage is a newer concept. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that when you look at a lot of arranged marriages. They're not like, do you love her? Like, no, a lot of times you just met her. Y'all getting married tomorrow. That's just the way it was. And it was like you would have to develop love, because love is an action word. It's something that develops over time, which is one of the reasons why knowing the people that you want to marry is a great thing. Getting to know them, especially outside of getting to know them.
Right.
Sampling the walls, it messes up your picker. I'm just be honest with you.
Hey.
Do I expect all y'all to stop doing all of that? No, I'm honest. I understand what it is. The two most powerful temptations for anybody to avoid are money and walls. But I'm just letting you know that all of these things that we're doing have consequences. Right. And you will deal with the consequences in one way or another. The hope is that you will be able to overcome them by doing enough of the good to try to work on whatever damage those things caused you. Right. You know, I just wanted to put a little bit of knowledge out there, because it was very interesting when he went down our road and I saw a lot of people was just stuck. Right. I don't have a problem with people getting married for love. I know there are people out there who do, but we all need to understand that marriage is a multifaceted institution. And that's why it's best for you to be married to somebody you know more than somebody who you think you like, but you don't really know them, because you're risking a lot. And a lot of us don't really take into consideration what we're risking because we've tried to devalue all of the things that we
and it's not just
are exchanging in marriage.
Yeah.
So, no, and I'm not even just talking about finance. I'm talking about connecting your.
I know. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. A lot of people say it's just finance.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you know, when she leaves, she's gonna take half. Like,
yeah, it's way more than that. Especially if you guys have had kids, even if you guys have just been together, because even in the moment, you're thinking this might be it. Finally, I'm done being out there in the streets and being whatever, whether it's the man or the woman or both of y'all are thinking this. And then when it falls apart, that is a damage that you carry.
Yeah.
You know, into your next relationship, into your relationship with your future kids, all of that stuff matters. So there's a lot more being risked there, and there's a lot more at stake. And I want people to take it seriously, which is one of the reasons why I brought it up, because somebody like a 2K, even though he is married, will speak against like the institution of marriage just because he's against the religion that's pushing it, because he has issues with it, usually probably because of some family member that treated him a certain way. That's usually where it comes from. It's just anger because somebody treated me a certain way. And you rebelling against that person could also be doing damage to your own life. And a lot of us have bad reasons for being rebellious.
Well, if you guys made it this far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn your post notifications, and give us a thumbs up so that way you can tell YouTube that you appreciate what we're putting down.
What we're putting down. I don't know, maybe one day, and I guess we've asked this before, we did get some answers back. I don't know exactly how many we got back when we were saying, would you guys rather us do more long form informational videos? And we've had some people be like, yeah, we'd love for y'all to go a little bit more in depth and things of that nature. But then I realized I got to edit them jokers. And it'd be a lot sometimes, even if you don't do a lot. Y'all know I would like to do the cuts, the edits, and the jokes and stuff like that. But even if you don't do that, it could just become a lot, especially for us lately. As you can see, we ain't home, and the reason that we here is not because we're on vacation. Nope. So
that part.
It's a lot of things going on in the house that makes it difficult for me to have the time to dedicate to this like I want to.
If you guys do want longer form content, this is what you do. Go ahead and share this. Pass it around to your people, all right? So that way we can tell by views.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So if you guys really do want more of this, go ahead and share it to other people. If you feel as though it's helpful, something that can help maybe spark conversation, whether or not you agree or disagree or what have you. But if you just want to hear more content like this, longer form content, share this video so that way we can know by the views that this is what you want.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Hey everybody, down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Press the off button.